Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Lassonde. I'm one of the campus managers here at Arista, and I'm very excited to get things kicked off with you today. I want to take a couple minutes to tell you about our TAC webinar series before we dive right in. So simply put, we started these back in 2022 to create a space for our TAC teams and customers to connect live and share knowledge. We focus on topics that are relevant to the issues typically seen across customer environments. We've walked through a variety of topics, everything from switch health checks with packet drops to EVPN, VXLAN, IA workloads, and much, much more. So in today's session, you'll learn about troubleshooting campus network issues, specifically around application latency in a campus network using CloudVision. Now, these can be a bit tricky, so I have the pleasure of introducing Pratyusha. She is one of the very best here at Arista, and she will walk you through how to identify and resolve issues on this topic. Pratyusha has a ton of hands-on experience in this field, so you are absolutely getting firsthand knowledge from one of the very best here at Arista. We also have the full lineup of TAC engineers with us to help fill out this panel today and answer your questions live. So please, if you have any questions or comments, do not hesitate to use the Q&A box throughout this session and get those answered. Some quick housekeeping items to mention. When you registered for this session, you should have received a link to download the topology diagram. If you did not receive that link or just happen to miss it, do not worry. We will drop that link into the chat, so you can go ahead and grab that now. If you like what you see here today and are interested in any of our past webinars, those can be found on the Arista community page referenced here on the slide. Before we get started, I'd like to highlight just one last thing. I want to mention an offering we have here at Arista performed by our TAC engineers, and this is our TAC custom training. This is a paid training service that was launched based on customer feedback and growing demand for personalized sessions. While our webinar and this session today cover general scenarios, these custom sessions are fully tailored to your specific environment, platform, features, and also architecture. What we do is we dig into recent TAC cases linked to your account. We review the top issues you faced, and we share detailed troubleshooting guidance, as well as preventative recommendations. All of this is delivered by a TAC, subject matter expert in a hands-on format. It's kind of like having a second pair of hands to spot check and help point everything in the right direction. The feedback that we've received so far from both enterprise and cloud customers has been incredibly positive. So if you are interested and want to learn more, just drop a note to taccustomtraining@arista.com, and we'll be happy to help you further. Now, without further ado, let me pass this over to Pratyusha to talk about troubleshooting application latency using CloudVision. Pratyusha, take it away.
Thank you, Michael, for the wonderful introduction. Welcome everyone to today's session. In this webinar, we will be exploring how CVQ and CloudVision can be used as powerful tools to troubleshoot wireless application latency issues. Today, our focus will be on leveraging CVQ and CloudVision for effective root cause analysis of historical issues and gaining enhanced visibility through the CloudVision platform to efficiently isolate issues across both the wired and the wireless infrastructure. Now, to make this practical, we will be walking through a real-world scenario that illustrates how these tools bring correlation and clarity in complex environments. But before diving into the scenario itself, let's briefly review a few key wireless metrics and terminologies that CloudVision uses to analyze client performance. RSSI, Received Signal Strength Indicator. Now, this measures the signal power received by a client device in dBm. This also serves as an indicator of wireless connection quality. A healthy RSSI typically falls between the range of -35 dBm to -50 dBm. SNR, Signal to Noise Ratio. This represents the signal strength compared to the background noise, and it's expressed in decibels. So the higher the SNR, the better is the quality of the wireless signal. Average data rate. This is the effective throughput between the access point and the client device. WPA3 SAE authentication. This is a secure password-based authentication protocol that provides stronger encryption and better protection against common wireless attacks. Retry rate. This is the percentage of packets that require retransmission for each Wi-Fi client. Retry rate is also used to measure the reliability of the Wi-Fi link. So the lower the retry rate, the more reliable the wireless connection is. Channel width. This is the portion of frequency spectrum that is allocated for transmission of data. So wider channels allow for higher speeds, but that also comes with an increased risk of interference. QoS, quality of service. This is a mechanism that prioritizes and manages network traffic to ensure critical applications receive sufficient bandwidth and low latency. LANSI, Latency Analyzer. This is an EOS-specific feature that gives real-time visibility into network congestion and latency conditions. Application Analytics. This is a CVQ-specific feature that breaks down the performance for particular applications, and this is especially useful for identifying issues such as application latency. Now let's move on to the problem description. On 4th of September, at around 7:45 a.m. EDT, a teacher had reported unusually slow upload speeds while attempting to transfer a high-definition recorded lecture to their internal training repository. And at the time of the issue, they were connected to the teacher's SSID. Interestingly, the problem had resolved on its own within a few hours with no manual intervention by the wireless administrator. By approximately 8:45 a.m. EDT, the issue had disappeared. We also have a topology diagram given to us of the campus network and the devices involved, which we will also be referencing later in the troubleshooting session. Our goal today is to identify the root cause of the slow upload speeds. For that, we have created a structured troubleshooting approach, which we will be breaking down here step by step. Step 1 is initial assessment. This step focuses on understanding the client's experience, what exactly was being impacted and how. It also requires identifying the source and destination of the traffic flow, along with few key client details such as MAC address, device model, and so on. The next step is data gathering. Here, we will be collecting information about the affected SSID, check whether other users were getting impacted, and also review the overall network behavior. Another important thing that we're also going to collect here is the precise timeline of the issue, which is particularly important for troubleshooting issues that are historical in nature. The third step is comparing the working versus the non-working state. Here, we will be analyzing the historical trends during the issue window, and we'll contrast them with normal performance, which will also help us highlight the anomalies. The fourth step here is going to be isolating the issue. At this stage, we will be splitting our troubleshooting into two domains: wireless troubleshooting and wired troubleshooting. Wireless troubleshooting will be covering issues with respect to client health, RF health, if there were any kind of retry seen, any authentication failure seen, and so on and so forth. Wired troubleshooting here, we will be examining switch port performance, if there was any kind of switch performance issues, any interface discards or errors seen, and so on and so forth. The final step is to understand the root cause of the issue. Now, based on the insights gathered and the systematic troubleshooting that we have performed in the earlier steps, we will proceed to hypothesize the potential root cause and we'll validate it against the observed issue. Let's now go deeper into the specifics of each step. The first step here is initial assessment. The first thing to do here is understand the flow of traffic. Here, the source IP is going to be 10.10.10.9, which is our IP address of the Wi-Fi client. And the destination IP here is 192.168.10.20, which is the IP address of the training repository. The next thing we need to understand are getting a few client details, which involve the MAC address of the client and the model of the client, which is a MacBook here. And the final thing we need to understand here is the user experience during the issue state. Now, the teacher had reported that the upload time was estimated to be around 3 to 4 hours during the issue time, which was significantly higher than usual. They had also reported that they were using an SSH-based application to upload the data to their internal repository. And under normal conditions, the upload typically was getting completed in around 30 minutes. Now, this drastic difference in performance is what we are going to investigate further. Now that we have performed the initial assessment of the scenario, let's look at the next step in the troubleshooting approach, which is gathering the required data. And here, we have asked a series of diagnostic questions to narrow down the scope of the issue. For example, was the issue limited to one SSID? Yes, it was affecting only the teacher's SSID. There was another SSID called student that was functioning normally. Were there any changes made to the wireless network? No. There were no configuration or any kind of wireless topology changes made before, during, or even after the issue had been resolved. Was the issue consistent? Yes. It persisted throughout the entire time window. And this issue was also affecting all types of application traffic during the issue period. Now, this has helped us define the scope of the issue clearly. The issue was confined to a single SSID, teachers, it was impacting all types of application traffic, and it was consistently observed within the time window. Another critical data point that was shared by the client was in CVQ under the particular client overview section, where there was a report generated by the CVQ inference engine. Now, what is an inference engine? CVQ has a powerful intelligent engine called the inference engine, which provides rather useful insights which could help us determine the root cause of network issues. So in our case, during the issue time for this particular client, the inference engine had reported that there was a non-wireless issue seen. The client is facing poor application experience even though the wireless operating conditions are good. Now, this is something that we are going to validate in the later stages of the troubleshooting. Now, the final thing that we have to confirm is the timeline of the issue. The time frame that we have taken for troubleshooting when the client was connected to the teacher's SSID was 4th of September from around 7:45 a.m. EDT to 8 a.m. EDT. This is when the issue was seen. The same client was also connected to the student SSID as a part of testing, and this was done from around 8:15 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. And during this time, there was no issue observed. Finally, the issue state had been resolved for the teacher's SSID as well from 8:45 a.m. onwards. With the timeline clarified, we have collected all the required details which will help us in further troubleshooting. So let's move on to the next step, which is comparing the working and the non-working state. For that, we have a ping test that was done during the working state and during the non-working state, which we are going to compare here. Let's start with the working state. We were pinging the IP address of the training repository, which is 192.168.10.20. And during this time, what we observed was that the time taken for the response to be received was in the range of 18 milliseconds to a maximum of 37 milliseconds. And this is well within expected thresholds. But during the issue state, what we observed were a couple of timeouts initially, and finally, when there was a response being received, the time taken was around 2600 milliseconds or 2.6 seconds. This is well beyond normal operating threshold, and it clearly aligns with the teacher's observation. The upload was projected to take over 3 hours as the application itself was struggling to complete data transfer in a timely manner. Now, this evidence suggests that there was some kind of latency somewhere in the network path which could be causing this issue. Now that we have validated the difference between the working and the non-working states, the next step is to dig into the wireless and the wire troubleshooting using CVQ and CloudVision. Our goal here is to isolate exactly where in the path the latency is being introduced. So let's start with the wireless troubleshooting using CVQ. We will begin here by navigating to monitored Wi-Fi client section in CVQ, which will provide a list of all Wi-Fi clients that are connected to the managed access points. Now, a key step to note here is that the client list toggle should be changed from live to all. This is important because the client in question may not be live at the time of troubleshooting. Now, once we're switched to all, we can filter using the client's MAC address that was provided and pull up the required session details. And in this case, we can see here that the client's icon is grayed out, which means that it is currently not active or that it's not visible. As a result, the information that we're going to see here is going to be limited. But what we can still see includes the last assigned IP address of the client, which is 10.10.10.9, the access point it was last associated to, the VLAN ID that it was last assigned, which is VLAN 10, and the last connected SSID, which is teachers, which also happens to be our SSID of concern. Now, there are also some additional data points that are visible here that include the frequency band, which is 5 gigahertz, information about the last connected channel, which is channel 48, and the capability of the client, which is Wi-Fi 5. Now, it's important to emphasize that all of this data reflects the last connected state, not the issue state. So, to go deeper into historical information, we will need to click on the client name here, which will take us to the detailed client overview section page. So, let's click on the name Teacher MacBook, which will navigate us to the overview page. Now, based on our earlier troubleshooting observations, we'll first adjust a few things in the view. Change the SSID filter and make it teachers because this is our concerned SSID. Change the frequency band to 5 gigahertz and set the time frame to last 1 day since the issue was reported around 24 hours before the time of troubleshooting. Now, scrolling further to the bottom, we can refine the time window further here to align precisely with the incident period. Now let's scroll back to the top of the page where there is a section called Application Experience where we will be filtering for the specific application that faced issues, and in this case that is going to be SSH. Now during the issue time frame, which is from 7:45 to 8 a.m., the application experience here shows around 41% poor. Now this is something we're going to look into deeper in the later stages. Before we dive into the remaining wireless metrics, it is also important to understand the chart that is being used to plot here. So let's understand the components of a baseline chart. The first component is baseline, which is the solid blue line. This is the moving weighted average that represents the normal behavior over a period of time. The second component is the deviation range. This is this light blue shaded area, and this is an acceptable threshold around the baseline. The third component are these observation points. These are these purple dots that are data samples that are captured at a regular interval of 15-minute time period. And final component are these anomalies, which are these red dots. These are points that fall significantly outside the expected range. Now, these baseline charts dynamically adapt to what is considered normal for a network over time, thus helping minimize false positives while also highlighting true deviations. So they are a critical reference when evaluating wireless performance and analyzing wireless parameters because they keep changing over time. So with that context in place, let's move on to analyzing the wireless parameters themselves. The first metric that we're going to start here is with RSSI. Now, what we see here is that during the issue time frame, the RSSI was around minus 49 dBm. And when we compare it to what was seen during the non-issue time frame, the value remains the same, around minus 49 dBm as well. Let's look at the next metric, which is average data rate. Here we can see that it is around 510 Mbps during the issue time frame. And when we compare this value to the non-issue time frame, we see that this remains the same, around 509 Mbps. The third metric we are going to compare here is the retry rate, which is around 10.8% for the issue time frame. And when we compare this value to the non-issue time frame, we see that it also remains the same, around 11.8%. The SNR, or the signal to noise ratio, is also pretty stable, around 40 decibels across both the issue time frame and the non-issue time frame. So the next step here is to further validate and compare this performance when the client was connected to the student SSID. So let's change the filter here to student and check the performance from 8:15 a.m. to 8:45. And what we see here is that the application experience is only around 5% poor, which is under expected thresholds. The RSSI also remains the same, around minus 49 dBm. And the data rate is also around 530 Mbps, which falls under the comparable range when compared to the value we see when it was connected to the teacher's SSID as well. Now let's check the retry rate. And what we see here is that it also is in the similar range, around 10 to a maximum of 11 or a 12%. Then SNR is also pretty stable, around 39 to 40 decibels. So the wireless conditions have remained pretty stable and comparable across both the issue and the non-issue time frame. So the next thing to check here is the connectivity by navigating to the connectivity tab. And here we will be filtering for the issue time frame, which is from around 7:30 a.m. to around 8:59 or 9 a.m. EDT. Once we have applied this particular filter for the issue time frame, what we see here is that around 7:35 a.m., the client was connected to the teacher's SSID successfully. And it remained stably connected with no disconnection event seen until it switched over to the student SSID at around 8:03 a.m. EDT. We can also validate this information by looking at the connection logs below. And what we see here is also the same. Around 7:35 a.m., there was a successful association to teachers SSID, and there are no disconnection logs here until it roamed back to the student SSID. So the connectivity has also been pretty stable during the issue time frame. So the next thing that we are going to check here is move to the performance tab. Here also, we will be filtering for the required values, which is the SSID, the band, and the time frame. Now, most of the wireless parameters that we see here align with what we had reviewed earlier in the client overview section. The only additional metric visible here is the traffic volume. Now, during the issue window, we did observe very low traffic volume, which is consistent with the user's experience of being unable to upload data due to such high latency. And as we notice here, the value immediately starts increasing once the issue has been resolved. So let's move on to the application metrics. Here also, we have filtered with the required SSID teachers and the particular application, which is going to be SSH. Now, once we have filtered here, what we see is a bar graph with red and green indicators. The red indicates poor application performance, which is around 6 minutes of the total 14-minute app usage time. This is around 40.85% of the total app usage time. Now, when we compare this value to the non-issue time frame, what we see here is that this is a mere 5.96%, which is around 53 seconds of the total 14-minute app usage time. And this is a very nominal value. This is very well under expected thresholds. Now, what we also observe here is that the majority of this poor application experience is limited to downstream traffic. That is, all the traffic going from the AP to the client is facing poor application experience around 40%. So let's validate this against when it was connected to the student SSID. And what we see here is that the poor application experience is a mere 4.9 or 5%, which is around 41 seconds out of a total 30-minute app usage time. So the application experience also matches to what was seen with the client. So let us finally look at all the observations we have seen so far from the wireless troubleshooting done. We see that the RSSI had been pretty stable around minus 49 dBm across both the teachers and the student SSID and during the issue and the non-issue time frame. The SNR was also consistently 40 decibels in all conditions. The average data rate was between 510 to 530 Mbps and didn't show much deviation. The retry rate was also in the range of 10 to 12%, again, very steady. And even the connectivity was very stable. There were no wireless disconnection observed on the teacher's SSID during the issue window. And we also validated the application experience. We saw that during the issue time frame for the teacher's SSID, around 40% poor application experience was seen. And when we compare this to the student SSID, this was a mere 5%. And this value was also the same for the teacher's SSID when it was connected during the non-issue time frame. The value was also around 5 to 6% poor. So based on all the historical data analysis that we have done so far, the Wi-Fi medium looks pretty clean and stable. So as the next step in our troubleshooting, let's look at the SSID configurations. For that, let us go back to CVQ and we will be navigating to configure Wi-Fi section. Now here, we will be looking at both the configurations of the teacher's SSID and student SSID and compare them. So the configurations of the teacher's SSID is very basic. We see that it is a private SSID type and the security is also WPA3. And as we discussed previously, it provides additional wireless protections. And even the network configuration is very basic. It is mapped to VLAN ID 10 and it is a bridged SSID. Now, when we look at the traffic shaping and QoS configurations here, what we notice is that QoS is enabled and the SSID priority here is set to voice. The priority type is also set as fixed. Now, what this means is that when the client is connected to this particular SSID, all the traffic that is being sent during that time will be sent with the priority of voice. SSID priority of voice here maps to a COS tag of 5. Now, what is COS? COS is a 3-bit field in the Ethernet header that is used for traffic differentiation and traffic shaping and traffic policing. So let's compare this configuration to the student SSID. And again, we see the same thing here. The basic, the security, and even the network configurations remain the same as the teacher's SSID. It is also mapped to VLAN ID 10. When we look at the traffic shaping and QoS configurations here, we see that QoS is enabled and the SSID priority here is set to best effort, which is actually mapped to a COS tag of 0. The priority type is also set as fixed. So on paper, the teacher's SSID should be getting higher priority compared to the student SSID, which means the application experience should also be better. But in practice, when we are looking at the issue time frame, the situation seems exactly the opposite. So let us look at the observations we've had so far after checking the SSID configurations. We see that the teacher's SSID had a QoS priority, which was set to voice, which was mapped to a COS tag of 5. And the student SSID had the QoS priority set as best effort, which was mapped to a COS tag of 0. This meant that the teacher's SSID had a higher priority compared to the student SSID, but during the issue state, the observed behavior was exactly the opposite. Now, this could suggest a possible QoS mismatch between the wireless and the wired configurations that could be causing the issue. So let's shift our focus to the wired infrastructure troubleshooting using CloudVision. And here we will be starting on the topology page to map the traffic flow during the issue window. Now, one thing to note here is that CloudVision can display either local time or UTC. And in this view, we are going to be using UTC. And we have also adjusted the time window to the issue period, which is from 10:09 a.m. UTC to 10:46 a.m. UTC. And we will also be tracing the traffic flow from source of 10.10.10.9, which is our Wi-Fi client IP address, to 192.168.10.20, which is our training repository IP address. And we see that the traffic is moving from access point to leaf 1 to spine to leaf 2 and finally to the training repository. So let's begin our troubleshooting by performing a step-by-step verification of the traffic flow. And here we are going to be starting with leaf 1. And we see that the traffic here is ingressing on Ethernet 47. So let's begin by checking the state of Ethernet 47 during this issue window. And what we notice here is that the administrative state and the operational status of this particular interface has been constantly been enabled and connected stably during the issue time frame. And when we look at the rates and counters, we don't observe any kind of L1 errors here. And when we look at the L2 rates and counters, even here we don't observe any kind of discards or errors seen on either the RX or the TX side during the issue time frame. But we do see some kind of traffic being received during this on the RX side, which means that even though the issue was being reported by the client, there was constant traffic being seen on the RX. So we've also verified that there wasn't any kind of congestion events being reported for this interface during this time frame. So the next step now would be to check the information for the egress interface for this traffic flow, which is going to be as per the topology Ethernet 53/1. So let's check the status for this interface. And even here we see that the interface has been stably up and connected throughout the issue time frame. And there are no L1 errors reported here either. But when we look at the L2 rates and counters, the first thing that we immediately notice is that there are transmit discards seen on this particular interface during the issue time frame. And one more thing that we notice here is that under the bitrate out section on the TX side, the egress rate has been capped to around 0.5 Mbps during the issue time frame. So let us validate this state against the time when the issue was not seen. That is when it was connected to the student SSID. So once we have changed the time frame here, what we immediately notice is that the discards have disappeared. There are no discards seen. And even the bitrate out has also increased back to around 18 Mbps. So let us finally understand the observations from the wired troubleshooting that we have done so far. We were able to trace the traffic flow using the topology view in CloudVision, and we were able to see the traffic going from AP to the destination training repository. And while performing a step-by-step path verification of the traffic, we observed that on leaf 1, on Ethernet 53/1, on the transmit side, we observed significant transmit discards during the issue time frame. And the egress rate was also capped to around 0.5 Mbps during this time window. And during normal operation, when there was no issue seen, the discards had disappeared. And even the egress rate had risen back to 18 to 20 Mbps. So as per our troubleshooting approach, we have been able to isolate the issue on the wired infrastructure, which was caused due to transmit discards. So next we'll have to investigate why those transmit discards were seen on the egress 53/1 on leaf 1 device. For that, let us return back to Ethernet 53/1 rates and counters. Now, in most cases, transmit discards generally indicate some kind of congestion. We also had LANZ enabled for all the devices that are streaming in CloudVision, which was for congestion detection purposes. So let's check the congestion section here. And what we find here is very clear. There are multiple congestion events that align exactly with the issue time frame. We also see a large number of LANZ queue drops, and the transmit latency had also spiked during this window. When expanding the queue drops counters, we see that all of these drops are observed on traffic Q5 under unicast queue. So why were these congestion events being reported here? This is very puzzling to see, because if we go back to the L2 rates and counters for this interface, we see that the traffic utilization or the link utilization for RX and TX is very minimal. Yet the congestion was being reported during the issue time frame. So we know that the issue has been isolated to Leaf1 device. Now the next logical step here would be to check the configuration for this particular device and see if there was any kind of change done, since we already know the time frame when the issue had been resolved. So let us check the configurations for DC1 Leaf1 device and see if there was any change done. And here under change history on the right hand panel, we see a configuration change which was applied at around 12:32 p.m. UTC, which is shortly around the time the problematic window had ended. And what we see here is that there was a shape rate 500 command which was added in TXQ5 under egress interface 53/1, which was added around 8 a.m. UTC. And this particular command had been removed at around 12:32 p.m. UTC, which aligned exactly with around the time when the issue was reported. But the question here is, why was the shape rate command affecting only the traffic for teachers SSID? For that, let us look at the QoS maps. We know that the traffic for the teachers SSID had an SSID priority set to voice, which meant that the SSID priority voice was mapped to cost tag of 5. And cost tag of 5 here is mapped to traffic class of 5, as we see in the QoS map. And traffic class of 5 here is mapped to TXQ of 5, which is exactly where the shape rate 500 command had been added, which was capping the egress rate to 500 kbps and hence causing all the slowness that we observed. Now let's compare this behavior to that of the student SSID. And what we observed there was that the student SSID had a SSID priority which was set to best effort, which was mapped to a cost tag of 1. And best effort, cost tag of 1, cost tag of 0. And cost tag of 0 was mapped to traffic class 1, which was mapped to transmit Q1, which didn't have any kind of shape rate command added. Now this is the reason why the teacher's SSID was getting affected, but the student SSID was continuing to perform normally. So let's finally break down the root cause of what happened here. The teacher's SSID with a cost tag of 5, the traffic from that was ingressing on Ethernet 47 on Leaf1 device with an ingress rate of 20 Mbps. And this cost tag was mapped to a traffic class 5, which was mapped to transmit Q5, which had this shape rate 500 command added. Now this was causing all the transmit discards that we had observed in CloudVision for Ethernet 53/1, and it had also capped the egress rate at 500 kbps. Now this command was later removed at around 8:30 a.m., which restored the throughput back to 18 to 20 Mbps, and it had also resolved the issue as well. So let's quickly walk through how we got to that conclusion. We started with a basic initial assessment. We looked at the impacted SSID, when the issue had started and what the clients were reporting. Then we collected data during the issue window, which also included the timeline of the issue, which helped us in the later troubleshooting stages in CloudVision. Then we compared the working and the non-working state by comparing the ping responses, and we validated what was different between the issue state and the non-issue state. Then using CVQ and CloudVision, we correlated what was happening across both the wireless and the wired infrastructure, and we were able to isolate the issue to the wired infrastructure. And eventually, we drilled all the way down to the specific shaping command, which finally gave us the root cause of the issue. So what are the key takeaways here? First, this was not a wireless issue. We started by looking at the APs and the clients and the wireless metrics, and all of those were stable. Second, we found that inconsistent QoS mappings between the SSIDs and the wired infrastructure could introduce latency or even throttle the traffic that could further cause issues that we saw in the application side. And third, CVQ and CloudVision really helped us validate this on the wireless and the wired side. By methodically analyzing the wired traffic flows, we not only identified the problematic command and pinpoint the exact timestamp at which it was added, but we also confirmed that removing it had restored service. And I think this case really illustrates the power of combining CVQ and Cloud Vision to enable holistic troubleshooting. Together, they give us true end to end visibility. And that's exactly what allowed us to solve what initially looked like a wireless problem, but was actually a shaping issue somewhere in the wired infrastructure. I hope this walkthrough has provided a clear and practical approach to diagnosing complex wireless issues, and I trust these insights will help you address similar challenges in your own environment. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's session.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you, Pratusha. That was a great session. I certainly hope all the folks on the call found this material to be helpful as well. I'd like to keep the webinar open for just a few more minutes in case anyone has any questions that they didn't get to ask or have answered earlier. Our panelists are still here, so feel free to raise any questions that you have in the Q&A section. If you'd like to review this material again or share it with friends or colleagues, the recording will be up soon on our Arista community page. I believe we already shared the link to the community page in the Q&A, but we'll also go ahead and put it in the chat section as well. If you have not visited the community page, I encourage you to do so. It has a ton of helpful articles and resources written by our own Arista experts. So it's definitely worth exploring if you want to deep dive into any other topics. We will be back with another campus session soon, so stay tuned for material on that. In the meantime, we just dropped a quick feedback form for you in the chat. Your feedback really does help us shape our future webinars, so we'd really appreciate if you could take a minute to fill that out. Just kind of checking through the Q&A right now. I do see that we have a question in there at the moment. We'll have one of our tech engineers go ahead and answer that. Again, thank you everybody for joining. Again, if you have any questions that you'd like to put in the chat section, or I'm sorry, in the Q&A section, please feel free to do so. But until then, hope we have a great day, and hope to see you on the next webinar. Thank you so much.